We're gonna have some stuff available for you, and I'm gonna have my man Johnny come out and model this stuff. Will you hit the lights for us, please? And clear that background too. We need a dark. Mr. Johnny right here is sporting some sweet glow-in-the-dark stuff, some sweet shades right here, some necklaces. This is called a swizzle. What's a swizzle? And we're going to be selling these things at the door as you come in. For Nova, you can get these things, $2 for the glasses, $1 for little necklaces, and we got some bracelets. I don't know where those are at, but we got some bracelets too. Come take advantage of those things. Yeah, give it up for Johnny action right there. That's good stuff, modeling. I dig it. All right, here we go. Let's bring those lights back up. We've got it's going to be sweet. We've got a ton of stuff going on, and we're right in the middle of finalizing the Adventures of Snake Jones. It is hilarious. Hilarious. We will have a teaser next Friday in Chapel for you guys. Okay, so we'll have that ready, and it is absolutely hilarious. Klingler twins in it, unreal stuff happening. That's good stuff. Actually, I need Zach to come on up here, Mr. Snake Jones himself. He's going to help us out with a little activity. I need Amanda Sloan to come up. She said she'd help me out with this thing too. We're going to play a little game of tug of war right here. You guys ready for this? Are you nervous? Because she's a beast. Like, she's pretty competitive. Yeah, this is going to be kind of scary here. You guys come on up. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to leave you on. You're doing P90X. Is that washboard ads? Not at all. That was a lie. You're not doing it at all. That's super. She just got done playing basketball. She's in soccer. She's running, fit. She's strong. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to let you guys pick 3 teammates. And you can each pick 3 teammates for tug of war. So we're going to have you go ahead and do that. Go ahead and pick your three teammates to help you out with tug of war. Handles. They got handles. Watch out now. All right, any bets who's gonna win? Who's got Amanda? She's got. Yes, it's support. Who's got Bottom's team over here? A little bit. I don't know. Okay, here's the deal. Here's the deal. It's whoever gets the other team first person to touch or hit or cross this little thing here. Matt, I don't know what you want to call it. You guys win. Okay, you ready? You ready for this? We're gonna throw some music on. Here we go. You guys ready? All right. 3, 2, 1, pull! Hey, will you guys join in welcoming Jacob Kessler, a good friend of mine, back up here to share with us today. Where's the leaders who picked the team? Where are they at again? Can you guys come up here real fast? Just real quick. Where's the go. All right. So, okay, tell me what was your strategy and how you chose the guys you chose. I mean, what was kind of the purpose of what the team chose?
I really had no strategy. I was just go out.
Okay. So they people that you know, friends you know, or did you think like you're picking people that you thought maybe could help you win?
Sure, yeah. I was kind of done hanging out.
So who was your key player?
James.
All right, James. Awesome. You did a good job. All right, thanks for the team. How about you? Was there a strategy in how you picked, who you picked for the tug of war?
I just chose strong.
Okay. So you're a lot more strategic on being able to think, so you guys, who could actually allow me to win? Who was your people there, besides you, of course, being the leader? Nice, that's a good answer. That's a good answer. All right, everybody give her a round of applause. Hey, I have, last week we were able to talk a little bit about seeking wisdom and what do we do in the midst of difficult choices or choices that we make, and I was pleading with you. I was talking with you guys about finding someone to get wisdom from, about finding some people, teachers, parents, people who love you, people who walk down those paths in life, and to ask them the questions before you make the decision, so that you will save yourself, so that you would have the life that God has you to live, the life abundant. I wanted to talk a little bit more about wisdom, about this whole idea of crossroads, and what do I do, how does the decisions I make reflect my heart, and all these things. So I can ask my parents and that kind of thing, but I want to talk today a little bit about how I choose the friends I choose, and what that reveals about me. What that reveals about me. Now, certainly in the tug-of-war game, the leaders who chose a team, not maybe their buddies or their best friends or people they hang out with or people they play sports with, but they chose a group of people who could take them somewhere, across the finish line. And so it's very interesting that we do that strategically in the sense of playing sports and who's going to start on a basketball team and who's going to start and the soccer team, and all those things, but we also do it in the realm of life. And maybe we don't think about it, but there's still this thing within us that chooses to hang out with people who ultimately will take us somewhere. There's something within us that's wired within all of our lives that will be a magnet or be attracted to hang out with certain types of people. There's all kinds of groups, we call them cliques, and they all congregate around something. And I want to talk a little bit about what that something could be and how we could use it to self-evaluate our lives. When I was growing up, I'll just share a quick story of me. I have two stories in my head. I had a friend of mine, we had a French teacher, and she was kind of a fill-in, long-term sub, basically. And she was a little bit funny, and I'm just trying to be nice. Yeah, anybody have some teachers like that? Hopefully not in here. Don't raise your hand. I had this teacher, and her name was Miss Lerner, and I haven't seen her since then, but it was very interesting. My friend of mine, we had this idea, this was kind of at the beginning of the school year. I'm not sure why he did it or why he said it at the time, but he's like, hey, wouldn't it be funny if you just kind of hide under her desk and then when she comes in, kind of thing. I was like, yeah, that would be funny. And so I went and hid under her desk. Now, what I did not know that he knew is that she wore a skirt that day, and so I know it's really bad. I don't want to go there, but so it's under the desk, and not only did she sat down and stuff, so I'm kind of tucked in under the desk because I'm hoping she doesn't scoot in and hit me with her knees. And then my friend decides to talk about why there's so many issues in the class and how they all pretty much tie to, I think it has to do with Jacob. And he just started talking about me and like, Miss Lerner, I really think that part of the issues in this class, people are, are unable to learn and all these. I think that it has to do with Jacob. I mean, he talks all the time and he's throwing stuff and he, doesn't. And they start this big long conversation. And I'm under the desk stuck, and I'm thinking I'm very embarrassed already because what she's wearing, and I'm tucked in, like I'm not looking, and so and I'm thinking, how do I get out of here? And the hard part was that when class was over, I got out. I think someone came to the door. By the grace of God, I was praying then. I never prayed, but I was praying then, like, please get me out of here. Because the longer it went on, the harder it was going to be for me to get out. So when the class was over, I was so mad at my friend Matt, but he kind of was, using me to kind of have fun, and it worked for him. When I was younger, I want to just talk a bit about this for a second. When I was younger, I used to I love riding bikes. I mean, I did that until I was 18. I know that's weird. I didn't have my license. Well, I have a license on the car until I was 18. But I rode my bike all the time. Matter of fact, we'd ride from New Lebanon, ride our bikes to Brookville, to the bike track, and we would just ride all the time. And I really believe that we hang out with people that we share something in common with. Would you agree with that? That we hang out with people that we can share some things in common with? Yes or no?
Yes.
Crazy. This is so easy. All right. So when I was riding a bike in my middle school years, and even some into my freshman and sophomore year, I won't admit it too much, but I ride my bike all the time. Who do you think I hung out with? People that enjoyed what? Yeah, because you see, there was other things in my life. I played sports and that kind of stuff, but really I was passionate about, about riding a bike, racing bikes, and that kind of stuff. And so I hung out with people who rode a bike. When I was in high school, again, I put my bike away, and I loved dancing. And did anybody here like to dance? Good. Right? I just love dancing. It's so much fun. I mean, we would go to clubs early just because I love being the first one out on the dance floor because I like being stupid. And I would just be crazy and make everybody feel comfortable to come out. You know how everybody kind of stands around and waits for somebody to dance so that you can actually go and dance? You guys do that at all? You guys probably all dance. I mean, when we were at school, in our middle school dances, I mean, I'm serious, no one would dance. We would kind of sit around and have a talk. But I was the first one out there. I just thought I didn't care to be stupid. But I like to go to clubs. I was at clubs 3 times a week at least. I mean, whatever club, what club was open for 18 and under, and I was there. I love dancing, I like meeting people, and especially meeting, new girls and that kind of stuff. But that was just a passion of mine. So what kind of people do you think I hung out with? People who like to go where? Yeah, because that's just something I really enjoyed doing. So I started hanging out with people who just enjoy doing the same thing. So it's something in common. We all came from different places. We all came from different homes. I had a divorced family. I hung out with people who had married parents. I mean, it wasn't about all that stuff. It was about sharing a common passion or a common heart at the time. And we would hang out and we would do all kinds of stuff together when it comes to clubs and clubbing. Another one, when you play football, who are the people you hang out with? The football players. I mean, why is that? What do you think that is? Why do you think that during football season, who here, their friends kind of shift a little bit during football season? I mean, or baseball or soccer. Like your teammates kind of, you don't hang out with them normally, but you kind of maybe talk to them, people a little more. Who would say that kind of happens in sports? All right. SpongeBob? Have you sit around watching? The hard part for me is that there's a trend in these things, and again, I really do believe that in the same way that we chose a tug of war team, that it's the same way that we choose to hang out with the friends that we hang out with. And I'm going to talk about just a little bit, I'm going to share a couple of proverbs, but I'm going to talk about how we could possibly look. If we could step out a little bit, if we could kind of step out of the reality of our life and kind of take a glance at the friends that I hang out with, and what does that say about me, and what does that say about my heart, and what does that say about what I'm chasing after. When I was 20 years old, as things progressed, as I was clubbing, and of course I was drinking at that time, and I continued, and things progressed into drugs, progressed into being in places I wish I never would have been. And I was 20 years old, and I remember being absolutely lost in the sense that I had all these friends, and I had fun with my friends, and but the problem was that there was something missing in my life. Matter of fact, one of the friends that I hung out with was Mr. Smith's brother at the time, and God used kind of his life and the car accident that he was in to transition my life. But it was really an interesting perspective because I was chasing after all the wrong things and finding myself empty. Now, if I'm going to take a step back, when I was a kid, I went to church, and there were some kids there at the church that I would have never hung out with. And there was one kid specifically I'll talk about, just to kind of segue. His name is Aaron. Now, Aaron, he was kind of a tomboy, just kind of a big frumpy kid, was super loud, was super annoying, he just was that way. And he was kind of someone that you would be in the group, but you just wouldn't really hang out with him, because he was a little bit embarrassing, and he would pick his scabs, and he'd always have scabs all over his head. He would always, I don't know where they came from, he's always picking at his skin or something. I've heard, hopefully nobody's like that here. But he's always just picking his scabs, and the worst part was that he would eat them. I know, so seriously, it was disgusting, so it's like, I'm not going to hang out with him. So I was 20 years old, this is years have passed, and I'm 20 years old now, and the hard part is that I'm like chasing after the things of this world. I'm hanging out with the friends I'm hanging out with who enjoy enjoy to go clubbing, who are doing drugs, and all of a sudden I'm hanging out with all those guys, and all of a sudden one night, it was Sunday night, I was 20 years old, I went to church. I don't know why I went. I mean, certainly there was a whole number of things that happened. I mean, if I was to tell the story, I mean, from the accident, from Chris's accident, from running into people from church, from my conversation with my mom, I knew there was something missing in my life, and one night I decided I'm going to go to church. Even though I thought church was full of hypocrites, even though I thought, I mean, I was angry at the church that I went back to because of the rumors and stuff that went around about my family, about my mom, about my dad, all of my memories, I mean, feel bad. God brought me back to church when I was 20 years old. And in one night, everything changed. And one night, everything changed because this night I realized that I was chasing after all the wrong things. And I love the friends I hung out with. They're all my friends from high school. I mean, I still love them. I mean, I think they're great people. I love them. But there was something that happened in my heart. There was something that happened that Sunday night when God got a hold of my heart and it just radically transformed me. And all of a sudden, I was sitting at a crossroads. I was knowing that before I was hanging out with this group of people because we share some common things. Of course, we went to school together, but we love to go clubbing. We love to do drugs. We love to drink alcohol. And that was what we did together. We just did that. And all of a sudden, on a Sunday night, when God gripped my heart, all that changed. So do you think that I continued hanging out with those guys? I did. Is it because I don't like them? It's not. It's because something changed in the depths of me, and I understood at the time that the things I was chasing after, the things I thought the alcohol, the things I thought that the drugs and the relationships were going to fill, that God in one night filled and overflowed for me. And all of a sudden, I no longer wanted to drink or to do drugs or to hook up with girls. That was no longer my life's ambition, the goals of my life. And so ultimately, it affected who I'm not with. Back to the guy with scabs. Aaron went to a similar situation, and a few years before had been discipled by a guy named Paul, and was on fire for God. I mean, just loved the Lord, talked about them. You could just tell, you know, he's one of the super Christians. He had the oversized Bible. I mean, he was like, he really did, was genuinely loved people, was just wanting to plug in. He led worship. And in one night, all of a sudden, I found myself being drawn to him. Why? Why do I want to hang out with somebody who I would have never hung out with before? Because we have something in common. In one night, my heart absolutely changed, and I no longer wanted to do those things I was doing before. And all of a sudden, I found a person in a group of people who had what I wanted. And so I began to hang out with him. Now, let me tell you, because I know that what's what happens is we somehow neglect our friends because we feel like we're better than them. I just prayed and said, God, I don't want my old friends to think that. So I would invite my friends to church. I didn't say I'm not hanging out with you because you guys drink. I mean, how hypocritical would that be? I mean, I didn't do that. I said, you know, I just don't really want to go to the clubs anymore. And of course, they didn't understand it. They're like, David, you'll be back, you know, because they couldn't fathom me not doing it. Because I wasn't just the one who went. I was the one who organized everyone to go. I mean, I was the one who was, kind of the life of the party. I mean, when we went to clubs, I the one that created all the fun games that we played at the club. And I'm the one that brought stink bombs. I mean, we had fun, and but I realized that it wasn't filling something. And because that one night changed, my heart changed. My friends began to change. See, I really believe this. I believe that your friends that you hang out with are going to reveal something about your heart. They will. The friends that you hang out with will reveal something about your heart. You hang out with the friends you hang out with for a purpose and for a reason. Whether it's for a short season of playing sports together or where it's something that we're going to do long haul. There's something about the friends we choose that reveal our hearts. This is why parents often struggle. Because I think parents haven't really developed this thought, maybe to give a point, but they see some of the friends you're hanging out with, and yeah, they may not like them as much, but what they really don't like is to see why is it that they want to hang out with those people, those types of people. And they understand, whether they can explain it or not, that you're heading down a path somewhere because for some reason your friends have shifted. You used to hang out with somebody because you guys rode bikes, and that was cute, and all that stuff. But all of a sudden now, you're with a whole different crowd, and there's concerns that your parents may have. And you ultimately don't recognize it, that there's something else your heart is chasing after, and that's why your friends have changed. That's why you've changed the relationships you've been in. You got out of some, and you got into some. See, here's the thing. Like, some of you cannot fathom, why would I even want to hang out with these people? All they talk about is God, and all they talk about is Jesus, and I hear that women at school, and you have all, that's how you maybe are. And again, that reveals something about your heart. So you won't hang out with people like that. You'll hang out with people who are passionate about the things you are passionate about. Whether it's going to be music, or whether it's video games, computers, I don't even know. You're going to hang out with people who are passionate about the things that you are passionate about. I always wondered this. I've had several parents who come to me and they say, my kid is just hanging around all of these troublemakers and have this big story. I've heard it before. And so what they do is they take the kids out of a public school system and then they plug them into a Christian school system, and the parents' mindset somehow is that they're going to be better here. Because I'm going to take them away from that troubled people that they're hanging out with, and I'm going to put them into a Christian school so that they can do better. But what the parents haven't recognized, and maybe they're in a little bit of denial because they want to believe the best in their kids, is that the problem isn't necessarily the friends they're hanging out with, but the problem is the heart of my child who chooses to hang out with those types of people. Because what happens when they come to a Christian school? They all of a sudden hang out with a bunch of people who love God? No, they will always find the riffraff and the trouble, because that's in your heart. You will always chase after the things that you're passionate about. If you have a heart that wants to run away from God, you will hang out with people who have the same heart. You will not naturally gravitate into people and relationships and friendship circles who are going to hold you accountable, who are going to talk about God. You don't care about that stuff. And so you are going to pull out of a public school system, your mom's like, finally, he's at Troy Christian, or he's at Dave Christian, or he's at wherever he's at, he's going to be fine. The problem is the parents haven't recognized that the issue isn't the friends, though I think it does affect it, but the issue is, why has my son or my daughter decided to hang out with these people? So here's the thing. I want us to ask ourselves, who are you hanging out with? Who are the group or the circle of friends who you are with, and why? Proverbs, you can open your Bible to Proverbs 13 real fast. There's lots of verses about friendships. There's so many. I'm going to read several of them, but this is the main verse I want to talk about today. The reason why I'm saying this is because the friends you choose will affect the quality of your life and the direction of your life. They will. And ultimately, if you were to stop long enough to evaluate your heart, of why do I choose the people I hang out with? Maybe, just maybe, God will be able to do a work in your heart, because that's what He is all about. We often are clouded by all the other stuff, like, I don't want to hang out with those people because they're boring. We use all these other words, but the reality of this, we've never really asked ourselves, why am I drawn to the friends I hang out with? What's the real thing that I'm drawn to? Because there's people who say, man, I love the Lord, and we raise hands in worship, we get all attached in that way, but the group of friends we hang out with, there's such disconnect, and we see it from the outside. We watch it, like, man, you said that you love God, but man, this man, and then what happens, like, well, Jesus hung out with pastors and sinners. He did. He went to have dinner with them, he shared the love of Christ with them. I find people say, this is a ministry, it's an outreach. Like, well, you've been friends with them 3 years. How many times have you shared the gospel with them? Never. Well, is it really a ministry or an outreach? No. I had a conversation with a girl. This was like 2 months ago at our church. And her parents, she came up to me, and I don't know if her parents made her or she just wanted to talk to me or whatever. She said, I'm in trouble because my parents are really, They're concerned about who I'm hanging out with. I'm like, well, who are you hanging out with? Well, I'm not hanging out with so much of my youth group. I'm not hanging out with those type of people. I'm starting to bring up this other group. Well, what's the other group doing? I mean, what's the big deal? Well, some of my friends do drugs, and they drink. I mean, it's kind of social drink and that kind of stuff. And they have some immoral behavior, such. And I said, why do you want to hang out with them? Well, it's they're fun. And again, that's just kind of what we say. It's just a lot of fun. They're fun to be around and that kind of stuff. They make me laugh. And I said, can I be honest with you? I mean, can I just say something really hard? She said, yeah. I said, if you'll be honest with yourself, I want to ask you this question, and just be honest. I said, I'm not going to judge you, because I have been where you're at. I said, deep down inside, you want to do what they're doing. You want to drink, and you want to do what they're doing. And it took her a minute. She paused, and of course, everything within her, and we were at church sitting in the pew, and again, I used her, she was part of the ministry we were in, wanted to say no, but she was actually honest with me. She said, yeah, it just looks like it's fun. And because her heart began to chase after those things, her friends began to change. She began to withdraw from the friends who were healthy for her and began to pull towards friends who were not healthy for her. And I said, do you understand that God's giving you an opportunity to see what you're chasing after, to see your heart, to see what's going on in there, and you have an opportunity to change? She said, I know. About a week and a half ago, she came up to me. She was crying. And she said, I have to get things right with my parents. And I said, why? Well, I just kept hanging out with those people that we talked about. And I did a lot of things that I should have done. And it's so interesting. I look at it and say, no-brainer. I mean, it's just a no-brainer for me. Because it happens every single time. Because I knew what she was chasing after because of the friends she was deciding to hang out with. Because we shared the same passion. I talked to, so she got things wrong, everything kind of shifted. I talked to girls and I talked to guys who are dating somebody who's not a believer. And I'm just looking at myself like, if God's your heart's passion, what is it that you see in that person that's attracting to you? I mean, there's got to be something more than just he looks good or he has a six-pack. I mean, there's got to be something more. What is it that attracts you to that person? I mean, everything that they are for seems like you say you're against, but yet you're attracted to them. What are you attracted to? Again, can we stop? Can we step out of the emotion of the environment? Can we evaluate why do I really want to be part of this group? Why do I really want to be part of this relationship? Especially when I say that everything in my life is supposed to be here. Everything they're about is over here. Proverbs 13:20 says this, he who walks with wise men will be wise, but the companion of fools will be destroyed. I love that. Language, I'm not going to mess around. The companion of fools will be destroyed. Some of you are hanging out with fools. You are. And the question is not to question them and why are they foolish, but why are you? Why? He who walks with wise men will be wise. And so here's what happens though. Here's what happens right now. I know that some of you are thinking of somebody across on this side of the gym or you're thinking of somebody we are detaching right now because you're thinking of somebody else, a friend. But I want you to think just about you just for a minute. Just think about yourself right now. Why do you choose the friends you choose? Don't think about somebody sitting next to you down the aisle or like, oh, they're hearing this. I want you to think about you. Why do you choose the people you choose to hang out with? Why? Proverbs 12:26 says this, the righteous should choose his friends carefully, for the way of the wicked leads them astray. That's such a great verse. I mean, I just wanted to memorize. Proverbs 12:26, you can write that down. It says, the righteous should choose his friends carefully. The righteous should choose his friends carefully. That I should be choosing who I hang out with carefully. Why? Because the wicked will lead you astray. See, there was a part of this girl who chose a friend uncarefully and unwisely, and so it revealed something about her heart, but the reality of it is because she continued to walk with them, she began to do what they do. The wicked led her astray. See, the hard part was that she recognized what her heart was chasing after and took care of it then. It would have been way easier. But now that I'm in this group of people and I'm at this party that I shouldn't be at and all the peer pressure that's there, now all of a sudden I am tempted to do something that I shouldn't have done, where I could have stopped way back here, and when I've looked at my heart and said, why do I even want to hang out with them? Proverbs 22, verse 24 and 25. Take no friendship with a man given to anger. I know you probably somebody are thinking of people. Don't be friends with an angry person, or a person that gets easily angered, nor go with a wrathful man, lest you learn his ways and entangle yourself in a snare. Such a good verse. I mean, just so many verses. 1 Corinthians 15:33 says, do not be deceived, that bad company corrupts or ruins good morals. I want you to take a moment right now. If you guys have paper and pens, I want you to get them out. Just real fast, or if you have a pen, you write in your hand. I want you to write down and or think of 5 people, or let's just say 3 people that you hang out with. I want your top 3 friends. Think of the top 3 people that you are with, you're on the phone with, and you hang out with, you spend the night with, they come to your house. And there's always acquaintances. But who are the top 3 people, or maybe you only have 1 friend. Who's that one? Some people say. Who are the top 3 people who will be your friends? Okay? Write those down. And I want you to be honest when you write this down. Again, if you were to draw kind of a bracket around the wall, what is it that these 3 friends have in common? What are the things they have in common? Remember, in middle school, we came from all different sorts of life, but we all liked to ride bikes. But when you get older, things begin to shift and change, and you hang out with people for a specific reason. What is the 3 people you're thinking about? What is it they have in common? What do you guys joke about? If it's dancing or girls or boys, sports, school, God, just whatever it is, just write down what you have in common. And then I have this question, based on what you see, if you wrote it down, or what you're thinking. Do you see wisdom in considering what is going on in your heart? Do you think that there maybe is something that you can say, if something the 3 people have in common isn't necessarily a good thing, or isn't necessarily a profitable thing? Do you think that it's wise to potentially step out and say, okay, what's going on in my heart? Why do I want to be with those people? Again, don't say, well, because they're fun, or because they accept me, whatever it is. Changing your friends won't fix your problem. This is what's an interesting thing. I mean, you can dump all your friends today, and then everyone, they can get mad at me, because you should have thought that. But that doesn't fix your problem. Again, when I was 20 years old, God changed my heart. And when my heart changed, then my friends changed. Because it wasn't about, I could have started hanging out in church folk, but that wouldn't have changed who I was in my heart, my direction in life. The reality of it is that God changes our hearts. And I got on my knees and said, God, I need you to just forgive me. I've been chasing after all the wrong stuff. I've been going in the wrong direction. It's led me nothing but trouble. And then when God changed my heart, my friends then began to change. So changing your friends doesn't just fix your problem. This is really a heart issue. There is something going on in your heart that makes you want to hang out with the people you hang out with, whether it's good or bad. I'm just, so if you have a passion in your heart for ministry and God and that kind of stuff, you're going to hang out with people like that. So there's something in common. Some here need to get serious with their lives and understand that you're heading in a direction you do not want to go down. If we were to evaluate our friends and understand the direction, if you are already drinking on the weekends, if you are already doing drugs, if you are already doing that stuff, if you're already being, physical with you are going in a direction you do not want to go down. God doesn't give us His Word, He gives us His law so that we can make our life boring. He gives them to us because He understands that in the realm of obedience of His Word, that He gives us great freedom. And that the best married life you can have is doing it His way. That's why so many divorces are out there today, because we decide to do it like the world does it, not the way God wants us to. And we hang out with people who sit there and say, it's okay, because they don't live the life according to Scripture. The choices you make and the pastimes you make and the friends you hang out with will affect the quality and the direction of your life, and that's just a fact. Some of you here have healthy friendships, and I think that's a great thing, and continue to cultivate those friendships and those relationships. Continue to challenge your friends spiritually. Ask them the hard questions. When you see a friend straying away and kind of jumping out of that group, you need to grab a hold of them and say, what are you chasing after? You've got to love them because our hearts are deceitfully wicked. We will ultimately sometimes just change and start running after the things God doesn't want us to. And as a friend, you've got to jump in there and fight with all you can to say, I'm not letting you go. You are chasing after the wrong thing, and I don't want you. That's what a friend does. They don't just let him go. It's fine. We'll take care of it. Chase after. What do you have to lose? This was thinking. What do you have to lose? What if today you decide, God, I understand that my heart is. I just don't know what's going on with it, but I just am chasing after the wrong things, and also that's affecting my hanging out with. What do you have to lose to say, God, today, God, change my heart? And what do you have to lose if you change some friends? What reputation? What is there to lose? I can't imagine that people will look back and say, man, it all started back when I started hanging out with people who were actually holding me accountable, and people who loved me. And I don't think I've ever heard a story like that. I've heard tons of stories who say, man, I started hanging out with this group, and I made some of the worst decisions in my life. Not because they made me do it, but because that was just kind of the direction that we were all going. What do you have to lose? Because I'm going to tell you, you continue the way you're going, you have a lot to lose. Wisdom says to see the danger and to take refuge. What is there to gain? How do you think your life can change for the positive? How do you think that if I change the friends I hang out with, how do you think that could affect you in a positive way? How could it affect your attitude? How could it affect your relationships with your authorities? How could it affect your relationships with each other? How could it maybe affect your anger issues or whatever's going on in your heart? How could that affect you? What do you think would happen if we just decided to do things God's way? Because here's the deal, God is interested in our hearts. He wants us to understand something about ourselves. The Bible says out of the abundance of the heart are the issues of life. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. And so the friends you pick are revealing something about your heart. And God ultimately is allowing some things to happen because He is wanting to cultivate your hearts. And today, I guess He brought me here to share with you that you have to step back out of your relationships and evaluate where your heart is. God is concerned about your heart. What are you going to do? What's the wise choice to do? To continue in the direction you're going? Or to maybe stop and say, God, I'm just doing this all wrong. I'm chasing after the wrong things. You will never regret doing it God's way. Let's pray. God, I thank you for your word that is so practical. God, we are so prone to wander. Lord, I know that you give us life and life abundant, but sometimes, for some reason, we just decide to shift our desires and shift our lives towards things of this world. And God, our friends we choose are a reflection of our hearts and what we're chasing after. So God, I pray the students here today would evaluate their hearts based upon who they hang out with. God, they would use wisdom. They would use wisdom. But God, they would apply that wisdom. God, they would, if they have to, God, that you would change their heart and they would jump out of some of the groups they're hanging out with. God, you know my past. You know how many bad decisions I've made because I chose to hang out with the wrong groups of people. But ultimately, God, some of that part. I led those groups. God, I'm so thankful that you're gracious. And Lord, I just pray today that these students would evaluate their hearts, and God, they would take a step toward you in obedience, and that they would look back and have no regrets.